Every artist taking their music seriously at some point is going to need a website. And I had a website back in the day, and I wasn't using it because I wasn't really marketing my music then. And I never got it back up after I started marketing my music and taking it more seriously. And so this video, I'm going to kind of show you how I set up my website, what tools I used, and some other alternatives along the way. Because I noticed a lot of artists I talk to in my consultations either don't have it, have no idea how to get into it, or they're using something kind of inadequate. And there's a lot of answers to this, so it's kind of complicated, but let's just dive in. So first I'll show you my website, and I'm going to walk you through the tools that I use through this as well. So this is my main site. It's built off of WordPress, which is technically a free service, although I did buy a theme for like $60 so that I didn't have to spend too much work making my own theme. But yeah, it's very simple. Basically, the whole purpose of the WordPress site is to have a one-page shop where people can go watch videos, see the most recent song, see my social media links, and I'm going to basically have individual pages for different songs. So this isn't really something I would use in an ad per se. It's a way, so if someone searches for the song, there's a page on my site for it instead of them just finding things that are not in my site about it. For example, if they search it, they would find the Spotify link, the Apple Music link, but it'd be nice if they also came to my website, because then I can retarget them, right? So, and I have a bunch of other pages here, like I have an email list opt-in that I also made on WordPress. This is kind of a studio pass kind of thing. People can join and they'll get like 8 days or so of custom content, behind the scenes content, and this is all WordPress. It took me, now just to kind of get to let you know like how much work this was, probably about 8 hours of work to build this. I just banged it out in like one very boring evening, basically. And now there was a lot of trial and error. Like I kind of did stuff, removed it, and so it's not really like if I was doing this again, it'd probably take 1 hour or 2 hours. But yeah, so that's the WordPress site. Now, when people click on shop, it goes to a Shopify store. Technically, on WordPress, there's a thing called WooCommerce. That you can handle payments, and like the theme I bought handles WooCommerce. So I could have done all my store through WordPress, but I have a lot of experience with Shopify because I use it for my company, Generic Studios, for all the sample packs, preset packs, content libraries. I use Shopify already, so it was very convenient just to get it up and running. Very simple. Basically, I have like music on here. I think I need to update and add some stuff so people can buy my music. It has this cool thing with this service, this plugin called Single Music, and you can actually like hear individual songs, buy individual songs in an album. You can obviously change your prices to whatever you want. And then I can have clothing, and all of this is print on demand. So I don't know if you know how print on demand works. There's a service called Printful. You don't actually even need Shopify for it. You can also use it in WooCommerce, or you can just use it, period. You don't even need a website for it. But it's free. Basically, you can design your shirt, and when someone places the order, it just goes to them. They make it and ship it to the customer. You don't really do anything. You just like basically you charge more than what it costs you to have them make the shirt, and so you keep the difference. So because of that, you can offer a lot of cool products. Like for example, masks, beanies, mugs. These are actually things that I do have myself. That I made my own guitar picks. I have a crap ton. I basically only use my own guitar picks nowadays, which is pretty sweet. They're a lot cheaper than you'd expect when you buy like 400 of them. But yeah, so you can list products, you can list print-on-demand products, you can have digital products, and that's why I went with Shopify. It's a very, very convenient tool. Now, let me go over like the pricing model for this. So WordPress, I mentioned, is technically free, but I bought a theme for $60. Now, to host WordPress, you can't you have to have a place to load the files from your website, like a server for your site. I'm using something called SiteGround. There's a million options on there, but you want to make sure you get managed WordPress hosting. I'm using the Grow Big plan. You could use the startup plan. I just figured I might as well go big because it's not that much of a difference in price. So now keep in mind the $7.99 a month, that's just for the first year. It goes up to $24.99 a month after that. So that's something I'm going to have to weigh after the first year's up if I want to keep going with this or not. But that's what it costs now. Now Shopify is about, I think it's $29.99 or $24.99 a month. So So again, expensive. So like that's one reason why you might want to consider using WooCommerce, is instead of having two separate, relatively expensive things per month, you could just have one. And maybe down the line I'll switch to that. But right now I want to just get something up and running. So that's the two site aspects. There's SiteGround, WordPress, and Shopify. Now, you also really want, like, for example, when people click this, there's a way for people to sign up and join this Studio Pass experience that I created. And for the email delivery, you know, if you think you're collecting emails from people, how do you deliver emails to people? You're not just going to send out one by one. You don't want to use like a blind carbon copy or BCC on an email and just send it out to a million people. I don't think that's actually even legal to do it that way. I've seen people do it. You really want an email provider. Now, I use something called Drip, not the cheapest thing in the world, for sure. I don't know if they show pricing on here, or it's just going to like log me in. Pricing. So this is based off of number of people on your list. There's other options like Send in Blue that base everything off of number of emails you're sending. This is unlimited emails, but it's based on people on your list. So every email provider either uses both of those metrics to see what to charge you, or one or the other. So you need to think about what makes sense. When you're starting off, you don't have to use Drip. Like, you know, if you use something like MailChimp, I think the first X amount of subscribers are free, but then after that it goes up really steeply. Whereas this, on my Generis Studios email list, I have 3,500, so I'm paying $59 a month. If you're just starting off and maybe you already have some and you want some room, you're starting off, you have 1,000, it's going to cost you $29. You don't have to like pick one. All you do is you sign up, and as you get more email subscribers, it just raises your price bracket month by month as you grow, or if you shrink, if you purge your list, your price will go down. So the reason why I use Drip, right, is because I need to send these emails. You can create email sequences, so that's why when people join the Studio Pass, how I can just sequence, it'll automatically deliver like an 8-day email experience, and you can do all these cool things, and I'll actually show you kind of the behind the scenes of one of the most powerful things about Drip, which is their workflows, and almost every single email service is going to have some version of workflows. So I'll show you this cool workflow after a message from our sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. So you might be wondering, why did I choose this particular video to talk about Skillshare? And it's really because when you're talking about building a website, there's a lot of skills behind the scenes that you either want or should or could have that will make your website a lot better. For example, WordPress, incredibly deep topic if you want it to be. Like, you can go on easy mode with WordPress and buy a very easy theme, but if you want to really get in depth and do some fancy stuff, you know, it would help you out to take some courses on the matter. And there's like a bajillion. There's 556 WordPress related courses talking about all these extra things, like how to customize a theme, HTML and CSS, how to make a website with WordPress, Divi theme tutorial, how to make a WordPress with Elementor, which is one of the most popular drag and drop WordPress builders. So even, you can learn the coding side, you can learn how to use one of the theme editors like Elementor or WP Bakery. And that, same with Shopify. I can just search for Shopify, and there's going to be, again, a billion things here. And of course, there's the Facebook ad tutorials related to marketing your stuff for Shopify. So if you're looking to really make the most out of a website, I think Skillshare really makes a lot of sense. So the best part about this is you don't actually have to pay anything to get started. Skillshare is offering for the first 1,000 of my subscribers that click the link below, we'll get a 1-month free trial. You can start diving in today without paying anything. Anyways, back to the video. All right, so this is the behind the scenes of my Drip workflow for that Studio Pass. Basically, when they trigger this form and they get this tag added to that email, it's going to send a welcome email. Now, that welcome email is just something you design in a drag and drop editor. It's all very easy. You can put dynamic things like first name and links and stuff, and then also you just kind of sequence. So they get this, they join, they get this email. 24 hours later, they get this email. You get all this data: open rate 60%, click-through rate, like clicking a thing inside the email, a link, 30%, how many people are currently in this step and how many people finished it. And then I have a decision here where, like, if they didn't open it, I'm going to wait 25 hours and send it again. And so you can see 20 people did that, but then they had a really good open rate. If they did open it, it skips that. And then I'm doing something here where basically, like, this will always be no because their lifetime value is never going to be like $1 million. So it just skips this. And the reason why I do this is because if they click a special link inside of one of these emails and land on that page, they're going to get this special email. So only like a very certain number of people who click a very specific link are going to get. So this is kind of like an Easter egg. I'm putting in like Easter eggs in the email sequence to try to make it spicy. And I even reference in there, like, you're only getting this because you did this. You would have never gotten this if you didn't do this. So cool, here's some extra content. Behind the scenes content, wait a day, survey, wait a day, free wallpapers, wait a day. They get a behind the scenes story, and it just kind of keeps going. And then at the end of it, I put them in another sequence. And then I can, of course, just send out regular emails. But that's what Drip is. So I'm using WordPress, Shopify, SiteGround, and Drip. So now at this point, some of you are probably thinking, like, I don't want to pay for all this stuff, or I already have this piece. Like, well, what are some of the other options I could do? Well, I'm using the WordPress Shopify combination. Another option, as I mentioned, you could do is just straight WordPress. So WordPress, WooCommerce, and then whatever email sequence you want to, email provider you want to use. There's like MailChimp, Send It in Blue. I'm blanking on the Active Campaign, Drip, of course. There's a million of them. Just search email providers. You'll get a huge amount of comparisons online. So I recommend doing your research. But now for the site portion and even the store portion, there is, let me share my screen again here. There is Squarespace. So a lot of artists I've talked to use Squarespace. It's a drag and drop builder. So like with WordPress, it's also drag and drop, but this is like a little bit more elegant. Now, the pricing model is similar to what you would pay for WordPress hosting. But it just kind of has a different focus. It's not as custom, like it is as customizable, but at the same time, you're working within the constraints of what Squarespace lets you do. With WordPress, you can just buy a completely different functioning theme and have this crazy site based on that. Whereas Squarespace is like they give you their own themes. WordPress is open, so there's way more options. Squarespace also features a store, which I don't know where they actually show it. I'm guessing sell products, sell services, schedule appointments. So you can have a store in here too. Now, I haven't personally used Squarespace, which brings me to my next alternative to both the storefront. I mean, you could do Squarespace and then also do Shopify if you wanted to. But, the other competitor to this would be Wix, which I have used. And Wix, I think, is a solid option. I've heard a lot of people talking online that they think Squarespace is better. But I don't have much experience with Squarespace, so I can't really confirm that. But Wix is one thing that I used for probably about a year when I started Genera Studios, maybe even longer, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And it's a really good drag and drop builder. It comes with a blog. It comes with a store. I used the store for a long time before I outgrew it. And Squarespace, both Squarespace and Wix have their own limitations in terms of like what file size you can host. And, what I would recommend, both of those services are free trials. Get a free trial of it, which I actually did for Squarespace. So I have a little experience with it, but then I didn't actually end up testing everything I planned to test when I did my free trial. But check them out and consider these alternatives. So another example I want to talk about is Bandzoogle. I've seen a lot of artists use this. I've never used this myself, but I have been on consulting calls with people, and so I've seen the interface. I've kind of seen how it works. But even just checking out the website, it's basically a Squarespace type thing, but it's made for musicians. The whole purpose of the site is for music artists. So it's built in to sell music, merch, downloads, and tickets, no commissions off of it. They have a bunch of themes that are just automatically made, like tour calendars, fan mailing lists, social media integrations, fan data, SEO for musicians. I don't think there's a difference between SEO for musicians or not for musicians, but whatever. Free domain name, and that's another point. You're going to need a domain name for this. For example, andrewsouthworth.com, I own that. You could get it through any of these services. They'll sell you a domain name. But what I do is I would use something like GoDaddy to go buy a domain name, or domain.com. That's what I use. I've really never used anything else myself, but GoDaddy, domain.com, I would recommend, and then you basically point it to your site instead of buying your domain name on like Bandzoogle or on Squarespace or on Wix or on Shopify, because then you're always going to be kind of stuck with them. Like, you can always point your domain somewhere else from them, but it's a lot easier if you just have it in this third party and you just point and remove it when you switch providers. It's kind of a pro tip, someone who's had domains for years. That's the easiest way to do it. So Bandzoogle is an option. Again, I haven't mentioned it, but it does have a lot of the stuff you need. Like, it has a store, and it has touring stuff if you're a performing musician. It has a mailing list feature. That has an electronic press kit, which is actually really good. Yeah, and it's relatively cheap, like 16, or well, I guess it ends up being $19.95 a month, but when you start, 16 a month, so it's affordable too. It's cheaper than I think both Squarespace and Wix when you compare the functionality. So pretty decent option. I've just never used it. All right, so that just about does it for this website stuff. If you want me to show any specific part of what I use in the future, or even just get a free trial of one of these things, learn about it, and teach you what I learned, let me know in the comments, because I'm happy to talk more about the site stuff. I know it's confusing if you're not used to it, but there's a lot to talk about, so let me know what you want to learn. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. You can check one of these playlists here if you want to learn more about Facebook ads to promote your music, and you can also check out this random video at the bottom that YouTube thinks you're going to like. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye.